Here's your host, Ray Ibarra.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Conversations with Shark Tank Winners, the on-live reality Q&A television program. Before I introduce my special guest, I'd just like to talk to you briefly about my incredible multimedia book, Conversations with Shark Tank Winners. You can purchase a copy at Amazon.com, or you can go to my website at SharkTankEffect.com. This is, of course, the streaming television program that interviews and features many of the wonderful Shark Tank entrepreneurs from the hit ABC television show. Joining us in studio today is an incredible individual. She is, you saw her on Shark Tank. She's the creator of ShowNo Towels, the owner of ShowNo Towels, and an unbelievable talent and speaker. We're really thrilled to have her at Pax Stereo TV Studios today, Shelly Ehler. Shelly, welcome.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you, and I'd like to introduce over here the man with the plan, the man behind Pax Stereo TV, the tech guru, Mario Hemsley. What's going on, man?
All right, great to be here.
Bang.
And Victor Allen back there, our producer and cameraman. What's up, Vic?
I'm just sitting here waiting for my towel.
Okay.
I brought plenty.
Shelly, talk to our viewing audience about ShowNo Towels, about your Shark Tank experiences, all of that good stuff. And Mr. Wonderful staring at me right there.
I did bring Mr. Wonderful along. You know, he doesn't have that much going on. So he was available to come. But it was a great experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was one of the most incredible things, the most incredible opportunities, and I didn't go after it. It found me, which I think is amazing. A lot of incredible things happen that way. Mm-hmm. You know, when they just come to you. And it was funny because actually for a while I'd had one of my best friends from college, her name's Tiffany, and she was hounding me about applying for the show. And she said, Shelly, you need to try out for Shark Tank. I think you'd be perfect. And I'd never even seen the show. Mm-hmm. So I watched a YouTube episode, and my jaw just dropped, and I got so anxious watching these people get ripped to pieces. And I called her and said, you're on crack. I go, why would I want to do that and look like a complete idiot? I have a towel with a slit in it. They're going to rip me to pieces. That's not something I'm going to do. And you know, and I don't speak business. I was a school teacher. So I just kind of was very intimidated going in, having a business conversation with these high-level investment, you know,
the Sharks.
Yeah. And I said, no, it's not for me. But she kept saying, no, you need to do this. I think this is going to be great. And every couple of months I get a text from her, have you applied yet? No, you're crazy. Have you applied yet? Leave me alone. I don't want to do it. On and on. And finally, and it wasn't just from her, which is funny, because strangers would tell me when I would be selling my towels at like a street fair or something, oh, this should be perfect for that show Shark Tank. And I thought, oh gosh, I know, I've heard it before. And anyone who I would introduce my product to, one of the first things they would say is, have you ever thought about going on that show Shark Tank? And I'd say, well, I've thought about it, and I don't know that it's really for me, but great idea, you know. So fast forward, I got my product on the Today Show, which was so awesome for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that, yeah.
Thank you. It was really exciting. And I was asking all my friends on Facebook to share my episode. And one of my friends, her name's Debbie, and she shared my episode. And she happened to be friends in her network with someone who was a casting director for Shark Tank. So she reached out to her and said, you know what, you should tell your friend that product would probably do well on the show. There's an open casting call this Friday in Los Angeles, and she should come. So my friend Debbie called me, and she said, have you ever heard of that show Shark Tank? I go, oh, not you two.
The universe was speaking to you.
It was. And I said, I have, yeah, what? And she said, and she told me that, you know, she had this friend, and she wanted to invite me to come to the casting call. And I said, let me think about it. I really have no interest in doing this. But I hung up, and I just thought, what do you know? You know, when something keeps coming at you, it's like the universe just like, just screaming. Mm-hmm. And I thought, it's coming too many times to say no. It's time to say yes. And so I did. I said yes, and I walked in there, and it was almost like I was cast on the spot. It was just like, yes. And 3 weeks later, I was pitching to the Sharks.
Now, that is a really great story, because that normally doesn't happen. It's such a long, drawn-out process before at least the entrepreneurs we've had here, right, Mario?
Right.
Yeah.
They talk about how long, it was like over a year for some people.
It was almost 2 years for
Right.
Barbara Lampanelli from Nail Pack.
Yes.
She season 1 went by. I think season 2, finally season 3,
Right.
she was on. It took her almost 2 years.
Yes.
So your story was you streamlined everything. But I want to go back to something here before I forget. The Today Show, when you went on, how did you get on the Today Show for any entrepreneurs watching? How did you do that?
You know what? I was just watching the Today Show one day. I watch it all the time, and there was an episode on Hoda and Kathy Lee in the 4th hour, and there's a segment called Bobby's Buzz, and Bobby Thomas features all of her favorite products. So one day she was doing it was called Bobby's Buzz for Kids, and while I watched, I thought, well, why couldn't she feature my towel? It's perfect Bobby's Buzz for Kids.
Cool.
So I crafted a letter, and I sent a couple towels to the Today Show and to her attention, and I asked her if she would consider it for her segment. And I didn't hear anything. I sent towels to everyone. I sent them to The View. I sent them to this person. I sent them to that person. I sent them here. I sent them everywhere to all these celebrities, and you never hear anything. But it's worth a shot, you know? And 3 months later, I got a phone call from the Today Show saying, we got your towels, and we're doing a segment on moms with good ideas, and we'd like to feature your product. And that was it.
Wow.
That was it. And that one moment started all of this.
Because that's a lot of initiative. And looking at, your bios and stuff, The View,
Yes.
Good Morning America.
Yes.
I'm curious about how did The View?
The View came in with Lori Grenier. So once I did the deal with Lori Grenier, she was on The View a week after our episode aired. And so she was on and brought on products that she had invested in.
Wow.
So I got like a 10-second beep, but I can still say I was on The View.
So on the Today Show, it all started from there and started to just snowball for you, and then
did.
you got on Shark Tank. Now, you had incredible experiences on Shark Tank. I went and viewed your episode again on YouTube. Interesting, very interesting. You came across very professional, very hungry, very, very passionate about your product, ShowNo Towels. So tell us about that whole experience from beginning to when you prepared to when you went on the show, your deal with Lori and what happened.
Okay, well, it was the most terrifying thing I've ever been through. And to even look back on it now, I think, holy crap, I can't believe I did that. I've never been more afraid of anything, but I know that when I left the studio that day, I remember saying to myself, I don't think I can be afraid of anything again. Really afraid. I think if I walked through that, I just found myself on another side of fear. And it was really, really incredible feeling. But to back up, when you're prepping for the show, I had 3 weeks to prep for it. And you are so full of nerves that I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't eat.
What frightened you the most then? What was it about your prepping?
Probably more than anything, just looking like a fool. Like having them ask me a question that I couldn't answer, and having them criticize me and tell me that they thought my product was stupid or something like that. So I spent that time and I studied every single episode I could get my hands on, and I took notes on every episode.
So I want to get clear on this. So you went back then and watched a bunch of Shark Tanks and took notes.
Notes on each entrepreneur, each company, who got a yes and who got a no, and why they got a yes and why they got a no, and then what the sharks liked, because there are times when the sharks say, we like working with someone who's more open. So I wrote, open. They like people who are open.
Okay.
And then they would say, you just seem like the type of person that won't take my advice.
So you studied their tendencies then,
Yes.
is what you did.
I did.
As well. Wow, very, very interesting.
I did. And I made this huge list, and then I finally came up with a master list of what they're looking for. And they're looking for someone who's confident but not cocky. Because that is where a lot of people fall short on the show.
Yeah.
They want to come in confident and act like they know everything. That's great. You want to be smart, but you don't want to appear that you know more than them, because you're going against 5 huge egos who think they know everything. So you have to be humble as well. And you have to, there's that space that you have to ride of knowing I'm smart, but yes, you're smarter. type thing, you know?
Well, which is an interesting dynamic. I sometimes wonder if being male or female helps you more or worse. Because, men tend to, I don't know what polite terms, you're measuring your energies. Let's put it like
right.
that.
Especially
men
when-
tend to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when the female entrepreneur sharks are on there. Lori and Barbara.
Oh, yeah.
They can be real. I've seen them. They can be very, very tough on women on that show. I've seen them. They come across
That's
very
why you
stern
don't know if
at
it's going to
times.
help you. Even though I get the impression they like working mothers.
Yes.
I get that
Right.
impression. They like hard-working mothers because
They do.
they can relate to that. But other than that, they can be...
Yeah.
They do, but the women that they don't like are the ones that are, I know it all, I know it all, I know it all.
Okay.
Okay.
And then they can feel themselves kind of going like, this isn't going to work between us, So I'm not that type of person anyway, but I knew that was something that I would never engage in, that type of, I have to be right.
Well, in the end, you had 3 sharks, I believe, that were bidding for you for wanting ShowNo towels. So continue on with your amazing story. I didn't mean to interrupt you here, but it was really fascinating going back, watching you on MSNBC again, watching you on YouTube again, because every time I see your segment, I pick up something different there. But you came across very polished, but very, very passionate and very hungry about your product and what you were doing.
Well, I practiced it, and I practice it, and I practice it, and you have to. And I think it feels shocking sometimes when you feel like, I've heard that people that haven't practiced, I think, oh my gosh, you crazy. This is an incredible opportunity. Why would you not give it everything? I gave it everything I had in terms of studying, in terms of practicing. I memorized that script inside and out. I had it on my iPhone, and I would listen to it over and over again. And I would sit and write lists, possible questions. What could they ask? And I would come up with everything and answer it. And I practice and practice and practice. So I felt very comfortable. I think that added to my feeling comfortable when I was in there because I was prepared. And I think that you're going to feel more nervous when you aren't prepared. But I kind of felt like I'd covered all my bases. I didn't think there was anything I could throw at me that I couldn't handle. And, walking in there was absolutely terrifying. I actually, I looked at my producer, and I'm holding my kid's hands, and the door's shut in front of you, and I looked at her, and I said a 4-letter word. I mimicked F-U-C-K. And she goes, and
You
she
just say anything you want.
and she looked at me, and she started laughing, and she goes, "You're going to be fine, Shelly. You're going to be great. I know you are." And the door's open, and you walk in just like they see it on TV, and then you stand on the Oriental rug. And it was awkward, but what was nice was having the kids, because they were smiling, so they were smiling at my kids, so it sort of softened the moment.
Oh, strong work.
Yeah, so that was, I think, if there's any bit of advice, bring your kids. They kind of...
Kids are animals. Huh?
Right. I think they softened the moment, which was great. But once I started, those first couple words were just... And then it came. And I kind of feel like, to be honest with you, it felt out of body. It didn't even feel like it was me speaking. It was just, I'd prayed about it so much, I just let my spirit do the work.
Yeah.
How
And
wonderful.
it came out so much better than I could have ever imagined. I knew I'd do well. And I was pretty sure they'd like me. And I was pretty sure they'd get this. Pretty confident I'd get a deal. Had no idea they'd be fighting over with me and offer me more than I went in asking for. That doesn't happen that often.
Right.
And then to get the check was like, it just wrapped the biggest bow around this whole miracle.
Well, that's an unheard of thing. As far as we understand, you're the only one
I am.
in the show's history
Yes.
to ever leave with a check in her hand.
And I had no idea that could even happen because like I said, I watched every episode. I'd never seen that happen. And when Lori said, "I'm going to write you a check," my jaw dropped, and I just went, I couldn't believe it. The whole thing was a miracle to me. And I was so grateful for the opportunity to be there. And at that point in my life, needing this so much and for it to come, it was divine for me. And it was really special. And so when I was leaving, Damon said, "Shelly, do you realize that's never happened before? Do you realize you're the only entrepreneur that has ever left here with a check? I don't know if you know that." And I said,
I'm gonna give you a clap for that.
No, that was really special.
That's a clap.
That was because of the way that everything started. I think Mr. Wonderful said it was just a towel with a slit in it or something like that. He was very, very hard on you, and
Yes.
in the beginning it was a little rough, but it started as you were explaining things, especially now where you and your husband have come from. In the little segment before your episode aired, you were in the printing business.
Yes.
And everything went belly up for you. Explain what happened and what challenges you went through during that time.
it did. We had a printing business years ago up in Ventura County that we sold in 2005. And then we moved to Orange County and opened a 3D printing business. We'd done 2D printing for so long, we decided to take the next step and do 3D printing. 3D printing is very common now, but back then it wasn't. It was so cutting edge that we would show, because we'd been doing 2D architectural printing. So it made sense that the next level was to do 3D architectural printing,
Wow.
where we weren't doing the blueprints anymore, we were building models of the homes. So you could give us those blueprints and we could make an actual model of that home that you just designed. And when we introduced this technology to our architects, their jaws just dropped. This is even possible? Yep. You just need an STL file, send it to our printers. It was incredible.
It's still pretty new, Shelly. We did
It
a
is.
feature on that showing
Yeah.
people making guns, models, all kinds of weird stuff, Ray, out of different polymers, and the printer actually makes it. But still,
In
I'm
2005,
impressed.
nobody
even
was
talked
doing
about
it.
that.
They were
Yeah.
just using it for prototyping
Exactly.
and
Right.
things like that. And so when we decided to take this idea, we thought it was so huge, and we thought, this is it, and we went all in. And we were both risk takers. I was okay with doing that. I really was. And it would paid off originally. The first few years were fantastic. We had accounts with all the major home builders in California and in Arizona and in Nevada.
Wow.
We were building their models for their sales trailers. And then when the recession hit, and the first market to be devastated were home builders.
Yeah.
And everyone who had something to do with home building, designing, building, you name it, it was lights out, And so that's what happened to us. We were a luxury item that we sold to home builders. So there just wasn't a space for us anymore.
Okay, so then that happened, and then you eventually had to sell your home, correct?
We did.
Yeah.
We did. We sold we liquidated the business. We sold our home, and it was just kind of like, what now?
Yeah.
Tough
times.
Tough times. And I'll remember, I'll never forget. This is a cool part of my story. Every day as this was going on, before we had to sell the house and before we'd let go of the business, I prayed so hard, and I really believed I could turn it around. And every day I would do my rosary and I would pray to all the saints and all this stuff. I had all of my prayers that I would go through. It took me a long time to get through my whole procedure, but I got up early. And every morning I was on my knees, oh, God save me, and Hail Mary and everything, okay? So I'm doing all this, and I really, truly believed that I was going to fix this, that through this I was going to fix it. And the harder I prayed, the worse it was getting. And I couldn't believe nothing was getting better. I was so mad. And one day I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't pray. I didn't want to do it anymore. And I had a temper tantrum, and I threw things, and I kicked, and I broke things. And I just said, this is bullshit. You know what? Prayer, all this is crap. What a joke. Well, I'm not doing it anymore because it's obvious there's no God. This isn't going to work. And there's no one here to help me but me. I'm all alone. And what a waste of freaking time. I spent all this time on my knees. What a joke.
Wow.
I was so mad. And I heard this voice within say to me, Shelly, you come here every day and you claim to have so much faith, but you only have faith in you. You haven't let go and have faith in me. And I've told you all along, and I'd hear this voice that would come to me and say, let go, it's time to let go of it, it's time to move on. And I'm like, let go? My life savings is in this. You're nuts. No. I'm going to fight and fight and fight. But I fought so hard until there was nothing left to hold on to.
Wow.
And I told you all along, let go. You have a better plan and a much bigger purpose. What? Let go, you'll see. And I went, I don't even know what that means. Let go and you'll see. okay. So I did. I did. I just said, fine then. It's over. I'm not fighting anymore. I surrender it all. I'm not fighting for this business anymore. I'm not fighting for this home anymore. Then show me what you want me to do. And about 2 weeks later, I'm at the pool with my kids. And my older son wanted to change his dry clothes and asked me to wrap a tent around him. So I took his towel and wrapped it around like a tent. I'm holding his tent. My little guy starts having a fit because he wants me to hold his tent. And I couldn't hold two tents at the same time. And I was like, one of those mom moments that Calgon take me away because my son's melting down and he can't get out of his clothes fast enough and I couldn't help everybody. And I remember thinking, I wish there was something I could just put over them and they could change on their own and we wouldn't have to go through this. And I thought that's an interesting thought. Kind of looked around the pool and saw other moms holding tents for their kids, other kids just running naked. And I thought, And 4 a.m, I shoot out of bed. I feel this tingle kind of come through my body and I shoot up. And instantly I say, if I took a towel and I put a slit in it, right in the middle, they could wear it over their heads, it would cover their front and their back, it'd be like a poncho, it'd be a changing towel, it'd be a poncho, it'd be a ShowNo. And I go, oh! And I start laughing, giggling out loud to myself. That's cute. And I kind of start, is it cute? Is it stupid? It's brilliant. Is it brilliant or is it stupid? And I start playing with that. Then I jump out of bed and I run to Google. And I think, someone's got to be doing this. It's a towel with a slit in it. Towel with a slit in it. And there are baby towels, hoodie towels.
Yeah.
But there's no towel with the hood for bigger kids. And I went, how could that be? How is there not a towel with a slit in it? How? And I just heard within, because it's for you. And I go, is this it? Yeah.
Can we see it?
This. And I just hear, follow it in face, Shelly.
Yeah.
This, and yeah, and this is it. A towel with a slit in it.
You know how simple that is, but to not be able to find it online and it's not out there, it's you had one of those very inspirational and aha experiences that I think a lot of entrepreneurs have.
I was going to say that. Because Shelly, we're told so often to work hard on goals about money and prestige, and here you have someone motivated by things that are way more altruistic, and we're amazed how we seem to run into folks like this. I believe, like you believe, that things call out to us, just like this doing internet television is for us. So I so relate to your story, and also the fact that how many of us have to fall down on the way to success. That's other people don't get that. They think that you're supposed to waltz into success, where all of us fall down.
Right.
And look how you interpret it. One door closes, the other door opens. I remember people who lost their jobs with all the economic. And a couple of people I told them, I said, buddy, it doesn't feel like a tragedy to me.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, boom, they have a better job.
Yes.
Doing more things. So I'm so inspired by hearing that, and to know that, too, for you, these things were a matter of faith. And for many of us,
completely.
It's a matter of faith.
That's a good point that you make, Mario, because, all of us at one time or another, we've had to get out of our own way, man. We plan things out, and what I have found anyway on this journey is that it most often doesn't happen the way that you plan it out.
No.
But you have to be receptive and you have to be open-minded enough to see that there could be another direction or something planned for you, but you got to be aware of it, like you were aware of it. This is a very basic towel here, but obviously it was something that was for you, that you needed to do. So, getting up from your situation, what steps did you take immediately to work on your business, to work on your project, to work on your ShowNo towels? What did you do after you had that aha experience?
Well, I honestly went into my sewing room and made a prototype that night. And that morning, I took it, my kids wore them to the pool, and I had about 5 people come up to me and say, what is that? That is so neat. I want one for my kid. Where can I get one? And right then I went, okay, this is it. It was just validation, and to have validation that quickly upon, upon the concept, which was really great. But it was funny because, like a lot of other entrepreneurs, we get stopped up by the voice of our head. We start listening to this voice that starts giving us every reason why it's not going to happen.
Yes,
Right.
it can't be.
Right. And I was so excited about it, and my heart's going, this is going to be great, follow it in faith. And my head was like, okay, wait a minute. Let's just size things up. You have no money. You have no connections. You have no freaking clue what you're doing. Okay, so
Let's do it anyway.
let's not be so excited. You actually need a real job. This is stupid. You're being ridiculous. And I heard that, and the thing was, it was all true. I didn't have any of those things, money, connections, or clue what I was doing. But I heard my voice within, went back to my heart that said, listen, Shelly, you know what? Even though that's true, this is what I need you to do. This is your job. You dream it and you believe it.
Right.
Okay? And then you let go of the how. So many people get stuck on the how and they never get started. Don't worry about the how. The how is actually the easy part. It shows up in faith.
Exactly.
So you give me the how, the dreaming and the believing in absolute faith, that's the hard part.
Right.
Staying in faith without doubt, that's the hard part.
Hold your
Not
product
the-
up for us so we can see that. Okay, that is like really cool, and it looks like I said, it's a very simple design, but
Zen, I would almost say Zen.
Yeah.
In its simplicity, so simple that it's like a paper clip. It's
Right.
wonderful.
Right.
now in the beginning you had wanted to get this into water parks
Yes.
and hotels too. Was that the plan in the beginning?
That was my initial plan.
Okay, so what happened when you? Give us a recap of what happened when you went on Shark Tank and you showed the sharks this product, and what were you feeling during that time?
Well, gratefully, they received it, and I didn't get any. Mr. Wonderful didn't love it, but I didn't really get any scowls. I didn't get any of them saying that they thought that it was stupid. Robert said that he'd seen something like it before, which I said, oh, okay, whatever. But
Because you've done your homework.
yeah, none of them really came out and were very critical of it. So that was the first huge relief, And do you want me to talk more about
Talk about your segment. Talk about when you went up
Okay.
there and you were pitching, because you were asking for $50,000.
Yes, for 25%.
For 25%. Okay. So, what one made you come up with that figure?
Okay.
And two, who originally did you want to get a deal with?
Okay. So I came up with $50,000 because I actually did my homework and figured out that that's the amount of money that I would need for a production run. I need about $30,000 for a production run overseas.
Okay.
And then I wanted to have about $20,000 for advertising and marketing. And that was about the minimum number I could come up with. And in my research studying the show, I found that more people who asked for less money, they were actually kinder to, they weren't as harsh with. And were more likely to give a deal to someone for $50,000 than for $200,000, and asking for 25%. Now the equity was my company was not worth any money then, so that was sort of like it wasn't a big math equation to figure that out. But I felt like they were probably going to ask for 50% of my business because I wasn't making any money and because it was so new, and I was prepared for that.
Right.
But I thought, why not start at 25? Starting at 50 sounds too desperate.
So you were prepared to go
Right.
up to 50% then if you had to.
Yes, and the first offer came in with Damon, and he said, I'll give you 50% for $50,000, 50%. And I thought, well, here we go. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. And I was prepared for that, but I sort of thought, come on, someone else. Let's see, what else we have. And you wanted to ask who I was interested in. I was originally interested in doing a deal with Damon and Barbara. And 4 days, Damon or Barbara. And 4 days before, they informed me that Lori Grenier was going to be a new shark and she was going to be on my episode. I had no idea who she was. So I researched her, pulled up as many videos, did everything I could to find out who she was. And when I found out this QVC thing, I went, oh my gosh, that's it.
Yeah.
I could sell so many of these on QVC. It'll be crazy. My head's going to spin. We are going to sell these on QVC. This is all divine. She's on my episode for a reason. It's her. I know it's her. And so she was my target when I went in. Completely my target when I went in. So when I went in and I saw her, I even felt our energies just connected. She just instantly got me and liked me, and I instantly got her and liked her. And she was really kind to me throughout the whole thing. You know, there were a couple things that were edited out when the guys were kind of saying about I wasn't making enough money. Well, you know, and she would sort of say, she just started. And she would sort of defend me and protect me. It was really neat. And I kind of thought, yeah, I think I know she's the one. But it was interesting because she came and she said, Damon gave me the first offer, $50,000 for 50%. And she said, I like you so much that I'm actually going to write you a check. And she wrote a check for $50,000 for 25% equity, exactly what you asked for. And she said, here you go. And so I started to walk towards her. I thought, grab the check, let's go, you know? And I went to walk and grab it, and Damon said, what am I?
Right.
What am I, you know? And I said, well, I was kind of and so I backed up. I thought, well, your offer wasn't as good as her. And he said, all right, I'll do $50,000, but for 20%.
Right.
And I said, okay.
Ooh, now it's getting good.
And then I kind of thought, okay. And then he started telling me all of the connections he has, and I already manufactured towels and blah blah. And J.C. Penney's has been a vendor of mine. My head's starting to spin because QVC's right there with the check, and you know, what do you do? And I never expected this to happen, but Mark Cuban comes in and says, you know what? I think it's worth more than that. And I'm like, what? He said, I'll give you $75,000 for 25%. And now my head is just blowing up because my heart's set on going with Lori, but now he threw me this curve, and I'm going to look like an idiot if I pass up $75,000 for $50,000. And how do I explain that? And I was just kind of like, come on, everybody else come up now, because it was such an
you don't
awkward...
want to insult her.
Right.
No,
And
it was
then-
such an awkward moment.
And
but
that's
I
when
really
you took a
wanted
break
to-
and you went to go
that's
talk to your husband
I did.
about what you were going to do.
I did.
And so how
And that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
That's all made up for the show.
Okay.
You know, I mean,
Right,
that's
sure.
just all... I knew that they wanted to bring my husband in because they liked our story, and I already knew what I
It was
gonna
good
do at
editing,
that
right?
point.
Yeah, it was really good
Completely,
editing,
you know,
right.
So he was so freaked out. He hated being on the show. He hated
Wow.
it. It was so...
So
Yeah.
you're the steady person in this situation.
Well, he just doesn't like to be on TV. A lot of people don't.
So,
yeah.
what were you feeling during this whole thing? What were what was going through your mind when all of a sudden you had this feeding frenzy from the Sharks? When before you know everybody was just asking you about yourself, especially the sales. You didn't have any
No.
sales, and it was like you can just see everybody was just deflated when you said that.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden everybody wants you.
It was just surreal. It was just surreal. And then Damon said, all right, I'll do $75,000 for 20%. I'm like, okay. And Lori said, all right, I'll do $75,000, stay at the 25%. And I thought, thank God.
She met the bet.
Yeah, and I said, okay, we're good then. Because I know I'm going to go with her anyway.
Right.
And even if she'd not come up with it, I would have picked her anyway.
Okay.
I would have picked her
I mean,
anyway.
it does look, I have to admit, as a casual observer, it does look like the natural fit because of the types of things you see on QVC.
I
Yeah.
thought so.
And
Yeah.
and
I
for those
thought
of you who
so.
see it, Vic is showing you guys just some of the examples here. You can see from even the ads and stuff that Shelly has, it certainly has that appeal.
Yeah, I thought we would sell like crazy on QVC, and this just seemed so divine and perfect for me. And I left there that day with a check in my hand, and I was in shock. I'd never been in shock in my life. I didn't know what that felt like. You say you're in shock. But have you really been in shock? I was in shock. I couldn't speak.
Wow.
I was in the car, and I was silent. And my husband kind of, are you okay? Is everything okay?
Just taking in the moment.
This really happened to me. This is actually really
And I
happened.
realized
Right?
that moment too, I can't tell anyone. The most incredible thing just happened to me, and I can't tell anyone.
Oh, that's
So
right.
how long was it before your episode aired then, from the time you got the check to how much time went by?
197 days.
So you
Oh my
could
gosh,
tell anybody
almost-
for 197 days.
No.
Wow.
How's the ulcer going?
Yeah. Well, it was the hardest thing I have ever been through my whole life.
Man, I don't know,
because
Shelly.
the thoughts never left my mind, but I had to pretend that they weren't there, and I had to go on with my life. And there was a time when we even left, my family left to go to Florida to film our follow-up. And I had to make up these excuses why we were going to Florida, and we just filmed a follow-up with Disney, and I couldn't tell anyone about that.
Wow.
It was really,
Wow.
trapped. When you have joy and it's trapped inside, it just becomes anxiety. That's
Yeah.
it. You know, it just becomes pain almost.
So how did
And
you deal with all that then?
it
How did you
was-
deal with not getting a great deal or
Yeah.
getting a deal with Lori, being on the show and not being able to tell anybody, and having just one of your life's dreams fulfilled? How did you deal with all of that?
It was horrible. It was the hardest 197 days of my life. It was torture. Really, I would describe it as torture. It was absolutely. I couldn't think about anything else, and it was just a tough time. It was a really tough time. I don't wish that on anyone, and I really empathize with the people who have to go through it. People do not realize how hard that is. But you know, I did share it with a few trusted people, but that's it. You know, that was it. I really did a good job keeping my mouth shut. So I was so excited to finally be for the night, you know, for us to finally be able to share it. It was just like, are you kidding me?
So what
You know?
happened then afterward? Then you got the deal, due diligence. They did. What happened during that process, and what happened to the deal?
Well, Lori and I started working together right away. And she called me the very next day. My jaw dropped. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Like pinching myself, you know?
So far, so good.
It was, yeah. It was really awesome. I felt so blessed. And she said, you know what, Shelly, I've been given a lot in my life. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to make your dreams come true. And I said, you know what, Lori, then you got my heart. You have my trust. You name it, you got it. I will do whatever you need. And I kind of just took up my heart, put on a silver platter, and handed it over. And then things just sort of changed. You know, I don't live in the business world. And Lori does. And so this is very normal for her. It wasn't for me. And when she kind of my deal started twisting and turning, and she said, this is the way we're going to do it. And I just kind of, well, aren't we going to do what we did on TV? Well, no, this is the way we're going to do it. And it changed from one way to another option. And I'd kind of roll these options by my attorney, and he'd be like, you're getting screwed. And I just said, well, I trust her. You know, this is what she says we have to do. And so we agreed on option plan C, you know, and I signed plan C, even though my brother-in-law, my attorney, said, this will never work. And I said, I know, but if I don't sign it, I don't know that I'll get my Disney deal.
Yeah.
And I don't know if my episode will air.
Can you talk about some of the details of that? Can you give us one or two important details of what Plan C was, or what things changed in your deal to get you to Plan C?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first part of I didn't get to cash the check, you know. So I do have the check. I still have it at home.
Can you frame it or something at least to have it as a
you know what?
memento?
I was going to frame it originally, but I can't do that because looking at it bums me out.
now it
Reminds you,
represents
yeah,
something.
represents
Yeah.
something else then, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing. So I have it there. It's always going to be a neat memento to have, but no, looking at it brings up bad feelings. So anyhow, it just, so that's the way, I didn't it ended up working out where I was going to be getting like a loan. But what I needed money to start up the business. I need money for my website. I needed money to bring in product. I needed startup funds, and that wasn't available to me. So it was just money that would be issued to me based on POs, funding POs.
Okay.
And no major POs were coming in. I had POs coming in, but all POs that I could handle. So I sort of felt like the minute I started drawing from her money, I started having to pay her a commission. So I'm going to handle as much as I can on my own, so I don't ever have to pay her a commission. So that's what I did. I just ended up eating it all, finding the way. There's always a way. And I found a way to find a website. I found a way to get my product. I found a way to fund all my POs without having to touch that money and having to enter into our contract. So we never really entered. We had a signed contract, but neither of us ever played on it.
So do you have any idea why things changed so much? Did you ever get an explanation, or did you find out something later on as to why things all of a sudden kind of did a 180?
I think, you know what, Lori's just a really smart businesswoman. I think she realized that it was going to take her a long time to get her money back. And that on top of that, I know, it's not that I think, she didn't believe in the product. I think when we would talk, she used to kind of say, well, what's your plan B, Shelly? Do you have any other ideas besides this towel? And I kind of like, well, why? I think it's great. But she knew it wouldn't sell on QVC, so we never got a shot on QVC.
Really?
No. And she said, you know what, kids' products aren't sold on QVC, so it's not going on QVC. And then my head would spin and say, then why did you pick me? Because you know what's going to work on QVC, wouldn't you only pick QVC products?
Right.
So anyhow, I think she thought she didn't believe in this. I do think she believed in me.
Okay.
And I'll say that.
Yeah.
And I have to say too, she was very kind to me. We spent a lot of time together. I mean, I got a lot of one-on-one mentoring with her over the phone. We spent hours and hours on the phone with her, and I don't know anyone who's had that type of time with her. Anyone
Wow.
who's done a deal with her that's had that type of. People say, "You've talked with her?"
Wow.
I said, "We used to chat weekly on the phone
Wow.
for hours." She'd call me at 11 o'clock at night, and we'd chat till midnight or 1, and it'd be 3 in the morning in Chicago.
So what did you take away from all of your mentoring from with Lori that you applied to your business, and how you run it different now than when you first went in with her?
Yeah, it was interesting. I saw a side of her world. She lives in a completely different world, and that's okay. I just live in this world of, I feel like part of me lives in this dream world, kind of, and I like it, but I live in this world that's cooperative, and that's I'm going to help you, you help me, let's do it together. And the business world, that other world, is so full of fear, and it's like, I'm going to step on you to get to the top. Like, that world's not for me.
Some of us refuse, right? Some of us
Yeah.
refuse, Shelly,
Yeah.
right, to do those things. And I think that's why we relate to folks like you and internet television, because that's why we do this. We believe in what you believe in.
Yeah.
Doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
Taking ownership and responsibility.
Yeah.
And certainly not having to just give it all away to the millionaires, zillionaires out there.
Exactly.
I'm
And
proud of you personally. I got to
Thank
give you
you.
some claps.
Thank you.
You're getting a lot of claps today, Shelly.
No, but that's touchy.
Yeah.
God
yeah.
bless you, Shelly.
Thank you. I
Really.
appreciate that. But it was, so I think that was sort of, once I think we both kind of realized that about each other, it was kind of the beginning of the end. And I
Yeah.
think she sort of realized that I'm someone I'm too cooperative. I'm not I want to share everything with other people. I want to do this with all my Shark Tank pals. I'm going to be successful when they're successful too. We are holding each other's hands, helping each other, sharing context, helping each other, build each other up along the way. And if I can't do that, I didn't want to be on that other side of
So
it.
she's kind of like sitting up on top of the
I
skyscraper.
understand.
Yeah.
yeah.
And the
yeah.
skyscraper, and she's able to call the shots and do whatever she wants to do, and it just didn't turn out to be what you wanted. So what are you doing now? So what
didn't.
what happened with the Shark Tank effect for you? What happened afterward? Did because we all know that there's a lot of
Shark Tank
celebrities.
effect.
There's a lot of celebrities that watch the show.
Uh-huh.
Many of the entrepreneurs we've had in here said that such and such David Price from the Tampa Bay Rays, well now with the Detroit Tigers, Kyle Nardo from Nardo's Naturals said that he endorsed their product for
Yes.
Major League Baseball.
Yes.
So there's a lot of celebrities that watch. Did somebody else come to you offering you something? Did you make new connections? What was your effect?
Yeah, the only celebrity that I end up working with, and actually, she tweeted out my product, which was really cool, and I got a lot of hits. Was Elizabeth Hasselbeck?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You. She's really sweet. I adore her. But no, I didn't, Ray. I did not get any other people. And what's funny is a lot of my friends from the show said, I got lots of people calling me, offering me money, and I said, yeah, but you weren't handed a check. And I think that maybe the viewer saw this check come in and go, she didn't need anything now. She's set.
Right.
She's got a check. She got the queen of QVC. What does she need?
Right.
So I think that sort of
Kind of a backlash.
worked against me. And I think that if anyone was going to make an offer there, it didn't come. I actually did get one offer from some weirdo after CNBC last month.
Okay.
And someone left a voicemail. Shelly, this is so-and-so. I want to give you some money. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's my only real offer. I don't know. I wonder if I had a better chance of getting money from him or Lori. But
So what are you going to do now in terms of where you're going with your towel, and do you have other products that you're working on, or what's your strategy now from after all of this? And I know that you've gone out and you have somewhat of a speaking career now.
Yes.
That it's kind of taken a turn.
Yes.
Tell us about that and where you're going now with your product.
Good. Well, I'm going to back up a tiny bit.
Sure.
Because I want to share with you, right after my episode aired, I went from feeling like the most incredible success to the most insane failure that fast. When I realized orders weren't coming in. And I went, what happened? Did my website fail? What happened? I just was on air and I did awesome. I kicked ass.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know I did good. Why have I got like 50 orders? What's going on? And more were trickling in, but not a lot. And then I think that validated it to Lori at that point too. See, it's not a winner product. The next day, I couldn't get out of bed. I laid there and I just didn't want to see any of it. I didn't want to face it. I was too afraid because I've failed before, but 6 million eyes weren't on me.
Oh, okay.
So what does that feel like? When the newspaper's calling, my phone's ringing off the hook, my partner's calling, all these things are happening, and I have nothing really great to report. So I felt like such a failure. I laid in my bed and I just put the covers over my head. I said to my husband, please go take care of the boys. I just need to be alone. And he did. And I laid there and I just kind of heard within, Shelly, get up, go read your email. I said, no, God, I don't want to do that. Shelly, get up, read your email. I don't want to see it. Get up and read your email. Ugh. I get up and I open my email. First email's, Dear Shelly, I saw you last night and thank God I watched that show. I've never watched a show before, but for some reason, I watched it, and there you are, and you're me. And I'm a mom with this great idea, and my husband lost his job during the recession, and I've got this great idea, but I'm way too afraid to start. But now that I see that you did it, I'm starting today. God bless you.
Wow.
Wow,
That's
Whoa! And I just start crying. And I read, Dear Shelly, my family jumped up and down for you. We were cheering, all of us. My husband was cheering, my kids were cheering. We were screaming for you when you got that check from Lori. You deserve it. I am so proud of you. You are so amazing, and you're helping me to believe in myself again. God bless you. Dear Shelly, you have so much passion. I lost mine. Can you help me find it? On and on and on and on and on. And I have this huge aha moment. I'm sitting there, I'm sobbing. And all of a sudden it hits me. Oh my God. I wasn't on Shark Tank to sell a towel. I was on Shark Tank to sell hope.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That was my purpose. I may not have sold a towel that night, but I sold hope. And I did it really good. I did a really great job. And I may not have those orders to back up the towel, but I know I sold hope. And I just kind of thought, could it be that maybe this is the beginning of something else for me? Could it be that maybe it was never about the towel? Could it be that maybe this is launching me on something else? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Could it be that I'm judging it as wrong too soon? Yeah. Could it be that maybe I'm just starting? You're just starting. You're just starting. You got a lot more to learn. So get to work.
Wow.
Wow, what an impressive person. I got to give you claps again.
And you know,
Impressive.
when I first saw you speak at Norm's, we were talking about this before the show here, Norm's event there in Orange County some time ago, I thought to myself, man, gosh, Shelly, you're an incredible speaker, because I've seen a lot of speakers, but I have never seen anybody speak with as much authenticity and as much emotion and as much belief and passion as you have.
Thank you.
And you have an incredible career, and I think your calling, you're an entrepreneur at heart, and that's your baby there. And also you have a calling to go out and speak, and you have a wonderful career, whether it's live speaking or whether it's in studio, something like this, or podcasting or whatever. You have a career in that because you're just absolutely dynamic. Now, when my sister saw you on MSNBC when I was visiting her a few months ago in Reno, we were watching the reruns on MSNBC, and she said, boy, she's a great speaker. I said, you ought to see her live. She's even better live, and so you have an incredible gift and talent for that, and I know
Thank
that God's going to put you in a path where you need to go to inspire more people. That, let's face it,
I'm inspired.
yeah, I am too. And speaking of getting up again after you were down for a few times. What takeaways can you give our entrepreneurs watching, or those wanting to start a business, or maybe had some kind of setback in their life? How do you get up and how do you dust yourself off and get moving again?
A couple of different things. Number one, the first piece of advice I always give is get quiet.
Oh, interesting.
You have to get quiet, because for me, what I know to be true is this voice I've been referencing, this voice I tell you within that's guiding me. Not this voice of my head, this voice of my heart is guiding me every step of the way. And it's told me every single thing. It guided me right into that Shark Tank. It's guided me through things that I thought, what the hell did you bring me here for? It guided me to that check. It guided me to all that. This doesn't look like I thought it would. But what I've learned now is just because it doesn't look like you thought it would doesn't mean it's wrong. Doesn't mean it's wrong. There are so many lessons that I've had to learn because I know I'm meant to teach them. So I know none of this was a mistake, and I'm grateful for all of it. So number one, you have to get quiet. Get quiet so that you can hear this voice. And to me, that's meditation. So I meditate, pray, whatever you do, to go, take a walk on the beach. Get quiet so you can go and hear this. We're always listening to this voice, or we're on our phones, or we're on our computers, or our iPads. The outside world is so loud that we just don't hear this voice. And I remember, I'm a huge Oprah girl. Oprah is my girl. And years ago, Oprah used to talk about this voice, this kind voice, this loving voice. And I used to be like, what the hell is she talking about? The only voice I hear is a voice that tells me everything I'm doing that's wrong. And then I realized when I started hearing this voice, oh, that's the voice. That's the voice. I get it now. But you have to get quiet. So you get quiet, number one. You find that voice, you connect with it, and you let it guide you. That's number one.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, be open and ready to receive. You have to open yourself to receive. That's an important step. Because so many times we're used to giving and giving and giving, we haven't opened ourselves to receiving. So you have to open yourself to receive. That's a really, really important step.
That's very good.
It is. And number three, you have to be grateful. Grateful for all things at all times. Grateful for the good things, grateful for the bad things. Grateful for your falls. Grateful, because when you fall, you don't always want to say, thank you for that fall. But I'll tell you what, when you do, you get the reason why you fall, why you fell.
Yes, yes.
You get instantly, the minute you say, thank you for that stumble, you get the answer of why you fell. You get and you move through it and you get right back up again. But when you stay down and you blame and point here and here and here and blame, you're just going to stay down.
People call that turning a stumbling block into a stepping stone.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
And when you fall down, now you use that to elevate you beyond where you ever were.
Yeah.
Did you feel that you got stronger after all of this, after all of these setbacks, and when all was said and done? Your episode,
right, there's
your deal,
so many more than I'm even telling you. You know,
Okay.
like so many. There was just, it seemed like one setback after the next. My Disney deal never ended up panning out. That was a huge thing for me.
Wow.
Huge.
What happened?
I don't know. That's
Yeah.
something that is Lori Grenier. I've wanted her to answer for me, but I've never gotten a real answer. But I think, it aired and they sold really well. We had 400 towels in the water parks in Florida, and they sold within a few weeks. And I got word that we were sold out. So I contacted Lori to contact the buyer. And it went back and forth for 4 months. Lori would say, we'll contact the buyer. And the buyer would say, I'm waiting to hear from Lori. And Lori would say, I'm waiting to hear from the buyer. And the buyer would say, I'm waiting to hear from Lori. And I was just like, are you kidding me? And after 4 months, I sort of realized, I think this was made up for TV.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, Shelly, you have to wake up. You're so naive. You're believing all of this. And a lot of this is really made up for TV. And my heart was really, really broken in that space. And I got lots of different stories from the producer of of Shark Tank told me one story. No, the buyer said that it's great. They're putting it in all the cruise ships. Like, well, the day before, the buyer emailed me and said, we don't want to do business with you. So all the line, it was just
a lot of murky waters and things that were going on.
And that's the space I go, I don't live in this world. Listen,
Yeah.
my world is honest, and I come from my heart. I'm a really honest person, and I don't deserve this shit. You know, I was really pissed, but it's taken a long time. But I've gotten through it, and I'm stronger as a result of it.
You know what? I think too, Shelly. Those of us who've gone through things like that, it always seems too. Sometimes the education may have made it worth it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Because some education is so painful, but you know you're going to be able to use that education for the rest of your life in ways that are positive.
Yeah, I know it, and I know that all these lessons, it is what I needed to experience
To grow up, to get us right, kind of.
to be here
Right.
now, to
Right.
share the message I'm sharing, to
Right.
share the future messages I'm supposed to share. So I'm
Right.
like, fine, you bring it. I'm open. I can take it. You know, because if this is what it takes, I know that I have such a bright future, and in that space, I am completely grateful for all of it.
Right.
I'm not mad about any of it anymore. I'm not. And I was really hurt for a long time. Really hurt. I couldn't talk about it without crying. I really couldn't. And I mean, I had to do some therapy for it to
You
get
know,
through it. I really
God
did.
bless you.
Yeah, I did.
Some of the entrepreneurs that I interviewed for my book said that they had, and I've said this before, but this is a true term, Shark Tank post-traumatic stress disorder, that they couldn't go back and watch their episode because it was
Yeah.
too traumatic.
Yes.
And that is a real thing.
It is real.
Yeah.
It is real. And we've talked about it amongst like our little private group.
Right.
And I suffer from it. And I've actually researched post-traumatic stress disorder because I'm like, I know I have this. And I know I call it the post-traumatic Shark Tank disorder.
Right.
I can watch my episode because I'm really proud of it, but I can't watch the Disney follow-up.
Okay.
I can't watch that. That's too hard for me to watch. That, to me, my whole heart was in that, and I felt very duped by that. So I can't watch that, but I do watch my episode, and I'm really proud of it.
So how do you apply then? How do you take what you've been through, what you've experienced, what you know now from before you went on Shark Tank, and what knowledge did you learn, and how do you apply that now to where you're going from here?
Right. That's what's so amazing is that the lessons I've learned are just, there's so many. And I love writing about them in my blog, and I love sharing about them in my talks. But I think when it comes to Shark Tank, one of the biggest lessons I learned from Shark Tank too was to not judge an outcome. We really cannot judge an outcome, because for the longest time I was stuck because I kept judging all of it as wrong. It was wrong. It was wrong. They got away with it. It was wrong. It was wrong. It was wrong. And I stayed stuck. And I really went nowhere for a long time until I realized just because it doesn't look like you thought it would doesn't mean that it's wrong. Just because you thought it was going to look different, Shelly. How do you know? That's coming from here. What's been guiding you? Okay. So how am I supposed to know what it's going to look like? I don't, and none of us do.
Right.
So we can't think about what it's supposed to look like and then get mad and judge it. All we can do is be grateful for what happens, knowing there are no mistakes. So that's been the greatest lesson that I've learned from it, and that I have to teach other people, because as an entrepreneur, man, there are a lot of disappointments.
Yeah, more often they're disappointments
Oh.
than successes.
And I think a lot of people too, and I've heard a lot of people say this, who have said, if I ever knew it was going to be this hard, I would have never started, ever. But when you're in this deep, like, well,
You're
what the
stuck.
hell?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
stuck.
I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
right?
There's
Yeah.
all those times when all of us in here have looked back and said, we want to cross that bridge back to where when we started, go back. But you can't go back. Those bridges are burned, man. I always told myself this, Mario, when I started this whole journey years ago with being an entrepreneur, finding my way, that it would be much easier for me to live on the streets pursuing my dream than being stuck in a 9-to-5 somewhere because of all the bad experiences I've had in the corporate world. And I made that commitment, and I never gone back on that commitment. And more new doors have opened up for me. I met some fabulous people, picked up some great knowledge along the way. Working with Mario and Vic here at Pax Stereo TV opened up my world to new things. So like you said in the beginning, you have to be open to these things and you have to quiet your mind.
Yeah.
That's something that I've had to learn because of my frustrations along the way. Got to quiet my mind. How do I do that? Well, I go out and I take my walk.
That's it.
That's
And
one
I
of the
do a
good
walking
ones.
meditation.
Yep.
And you know what? I get off the technology and I have quiet time with my wife. We watch TV, we walk, we lounge around, we do whatever, And it really helps me to stay balanced through all of this because, man, there comes a point for all of us when we've thought, hey, what am I doing this for?
Right.
I can't deal with this anymore. You get sick, you have something happens or you lose your home or you're getting close to foreclosure or bankruptcy or whatever it is. But there are those opportunities, and I always thought to myself, man, you have an incredible gift and talent, and I can just see you just entrepreneurs need what you know and how you fall and how you learn to get up and be stronger. They need what you have.
And I'm working on how do I get it to them. That's a space that I'm in, and so I think what's hard, and another huge lesson, I'm sure you guys have all felt this too, is the waiting. I was having to wait. And it was like, it was so...
Delayed gratification.
Yeah, and it was like, I remember that 197 days, that waiting. Like, oh God, how am I going to make it through? You got to find peace in the wait, Shelly. You have to find peace in the wait. And when that was done, I was waiting for the next thing. And there's sometimes I find myself still waiting, and I go, when you're waiting and you're stuck in waiting, you're not being. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're missing the moment when you're waiting. So you have to do your best to just surrender and stop forcing it. Everything that I feel like I screwed up in this, I forced. I pushed.
We have
too
about
hard.
30 seconds, so
Oh, yeah.
one or two last tidbits of advice or whatever you want to say, takeaways for our audience. We've got about 30 seconds.
Okay. The best bit of advice that I can offer you is to get quiet, let the voice within guide you, to be open and ready to receive, to be grateful for all things. Every time you fall, get back up in faith, say thank you for all things, and know that just because it doesn't look like you thought it would does not mean it's wrong. Never judge an outcome.
Mario?
Wonderful, wonderful words of inspiration from someone who's a mother who's living it every day, following her dream. And I'm so glad to see you and experience you, because sometimes when you do this, you forget that there are other people out there like you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you for reaffirming me today, Shelly.
Oh, thank you.
And I just want to give myself a short plug here. Don't forget to go out and get my Conversations with Shark Tank Winners multimedia book, available on Amazon or Shark Tank Effect, EFFECT.com. Over 300 pages of incredible information and also experiences from the Shark Tank entrepreneurs that you can apply immediately to your own situation, business, whatever it is. Hey guys, thanks a lot. Victor, back there.
Hey, man.
Thank you.
You're
and
welcome.
another great job. And this has been Conversations with Shark Tank Winners here from the incredible Pax Stereo TV studios. Thanks a lot, you guys. Thanks,
Thank
Shelly.
you. Thanks, guys. This is blast.
All right, we're going to be...